Hello and welcome to this week's Rotherham Advertiser Sports Chat podcast. Joining me around the table this week, in the absence of Miller's correspondent David Beddoes, is editor Andrew Mosley.
Hello.
And news editor Mike Upton.
Hello.
Gentlemen, another win. It's now 5 games without defeat for Neil Warnock's side. 4 wins and a draw. The 11th win of the season came against Ipswich Town on Saturday at Portman Road. A 1-0 win thanks to a Leon Best goal. That's now 3 goals in 2 games for him. Interestingly, Michael, that's 11 wins this season, the same that Rotherham notched up in the whole of the last campaign.
Yeah, it's clearly been a very tough league this time around. Looking at the number of games that they've struggled to get any points out of before Christmas, just goes to show the turnaround that we've seen since Christmas, that they've had to dig deep to get their chance to survive.
Andrew, Neil Warnock said that it were a professional performance on Saturday, and most of the games recently in the last few weeks seem to be that, don't they? Just hard working, everyone doing their job.
Yeah, they're digging in there. Everybody seems to be gelling together, and I think it's the best run that they've had since they came up into the Championship, which, whatever anybody said when Neil Warnock took over, he's obviously doing something right. I think it's the organisational thing. They do seem a lot more organised. There seems to be determination and a belief that they can win games.
But for what they're lacking in ability, Michael, they make up for in them sort of things, don't they? The Rotherham United team. It's all about the hard work. I mean, Neil Warnock said after the game he's never seen anyone put in a shift like Matt Derbyshire did on Saturday.
I notice you're aiming that directly at me. Transformation of Matt Derbyshire has been nothing short of miraculous over the last 6 weeks. He seems like a player reborn.
It's nice to hear you admit that.
Followers of Matt Derbyshire's career will know that he's gone through periods of performing very well, and then he's had furloughs, hasn't he? But he's timed it right this time around, and he seems to be adding more of a kind of creative side to his game as well. Made the goal on Saturday, having put some good shifts in previous games. I think Neil must be... he needs some new material, because he seems to put this... We're a bunch of hard-working, decent, genuine lads in his spiel every week. I think he needs to start patting himself on the back and saying that, yeah, there's some ability in that side and they're getting the best out of it. Alright, the goal was a little bit of a fluke, but he must also be delighted that he's got Best fit at the right time and he's finding the net with some regularity.
Well, it's quite ironic, isn't it, Andrew, because Best wasn't supposed to be starting the game. He revealed after Warnock that Danny Ward was in line to start the game, suffered a back spasm a couple of hours before Best came in, and hey-ho, he's got you 3 points.
Yeah, I've been one of those that when Leon Best signed, doubted the wisdom of that signing, and that he could put a run of decent performances together. I mean, there was an interview last week where he said throughout his career he's maybe underperformed because he was always the first to be picked in a team, and now that's not happening. He's actually had a look at himself and maybe changed his attitude, and I think that's showing.
Maybe it's the name that a name like Best, it's going to weigh heavy on you sometimes.
There's a million headlines to be wrote, isn't there?
And when he broke through at Newcastle, there were great hopes from them, and he got injured. So I think maybe the injuries have hampered him. He could have been a much better player.
Just goes to show, though, doesn't it, how vital it is that Rotherham keep these key players fit now until the end of the season. And Andrew, the international break has come at spot on the right time, hasn't it?
Probably has. Of the last couple of games, there's been a bit of a feeling that maybe the next game is that game too far for Rotherham. They've had a run of 5 games in, say, 3 weeks, and each time they've really, really worked hard. Looked like they were going to lose occasionally, got that bit of luck, stuck at it for the full 90 minutes. And I think, they probably do need that break. Another school of thought might be that it's interrupting a good run.
Well, that's what Kirk Broadfoot said after the game. He said to the press afterwards that whenever you're winning games, you don't want to stop playing. But Michael, as Andrew says, just to recharge the batteries, Stephen Kelly's not played a lot of football, Lloyd Doyley's not played a lot of football, Leon Best hasn't played a lot of football, and if Rotherham are going to stay up and keep this run going, they're the kind of players that they need to be fit.
Yeah, I suspect Kirk Broadfoot probably wouldn't have said the same that had been on the back of 4 consecutive defeats. So I think at this stage of the season, that when they're pushing towards the last 8 games, having a bit of a rest, and maybe thinking about things tactically, because we've seen Neil's prepared to change things around tactically. Having a look at things on the training field. Let's face it, they're not just going to be putting their feet up. Can do some good value towards the end of the season.
hopefully a few players can get over little niggles and injuries that they might have been playing through over the last couple of weeks as well.
That's right, yeah. I know Lee Frecklington's been playing with a little bit of a knock. He's not one to turn down a game, and so has Stephen Kelly as well. He's been back for the last couple of games and also had a little bit of a niggle. So 2 weeks now until the next game. It's a great time, isn't it, for Kevin Blackwell to get on the training ground with the players and really implement maybe one or two things that they haven't had time to so far.
I think interestingly as well, it brings Steve Evans back into touch with Rotherham United, and Kevin Blackwell back with Leeds United. So he has some intriguing off the field confrontations.
That's right, isn't it, Michael? It's something to look forward to. I mean, none of us as football fans particularly welcome the international break. 2 weeks without football, apart from those two pretty meaningless England friendlies in between. But at least after this one, there's a real game to look forward to at the NYS, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely, and maybe a chance to get within 5 points of Leeds, which goes to show that they're not maybe firing on all cylinders themselves, or
certainly weren't on Saturday.
The title. The other interesting thing about Rotherham's recent wins is that we've talked before about maybe it was 3 from 4. Fulham being dragged not only back into it but being overtaken will not serve them particularly well. Unfortunately, Bristol City playing against the Whipping Boys seem to have not only found some form but also some increase in their goal difference, or reduction in their goal deficit. So it just goes to show that a couple of results going in your favour can go your way, and I don't think Rotherham need any exhortation to be up for a game against Leeds, especially under the auspices of Mr. Warnock.
Well, that's right, isn't it? I mean, there's not going to be many games where Rotherham now go into it as underdogs with the run they're on, and they've played the top half teams that they still had to play. They're coming up against teams like MK Dons, Bristol City next month. This could be possibly the last game where Rotherham are seen as underdogs, couldn't it?
It is, if they are indeed underdogs. I mean, Leeds are hardly on a great run of form. Rotherham are. Leeds perhaps got less to play for than Rotherham as well. I wouldn't say they're on the beach, as the saying goes, but and I'm sure Steve Evans won't allow them to be.
I'm sure he won't have his sombrero out either.
But I don't think Neil Warnock and Kevin Blackwell will either. So it's an unusual scenario where you've got the two Leeds managers in Evans and Rayner, who've obviously been at Rotherham, and you've got the two at Rotherham who've been at Leeds.
Well, it's funny because earlier in the season they had Neil Redfern at Rotherham,
yes,
and it was the same situation. So
yeah.
All three of Rotherham's managers this season have also managed Leeds United. So it's quite a strange one.
Possibly says more about Leeds United than Rotherham, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, quite possibly. Michael, we touched on it earlier. Rotherham out of the drop zone now, first time in a long time, and certainly the first time since Neil Warnock has been back at the club. How important is that for the players, the staff, the fans?
I think it's. I thought it was going to be another.
There was, but I couldn't think of one.
On the list. I think it's very important. Obviously, you would say that, but last season, they spent most of the season looking over their shoulders and trying to stay out of that bottom three. I think once you've been in it, it can be very difficult to get out of it, and I don't think we should underestimate the achievement of getting out of it, not just by the skin of their teeth, to be a few points clear. It's got to be a situation now where they won't necessarily be looking upwards. They don't have to look quite so far down. I think Bolton are gone now. I think Charlton are looking in deep trouble, and so they only really have to think about 2 or 3 teams around them and try and beat their results. And MK seem to have hit a little bit of a slope, and Warnock can look at the results and show his team, look, this is how the others got on, and look at that 5-match unbeaten run, which I think is as important as being out of the bottom three.
That's 2 months ago. It was hard to see where the next win was coming from, and I think the players looked like they had that mentality going out on the pitch. And now you actually start a game thinking, I think they'll win this, and I think they'll beat Leeds.
Tony Stewart's ambition for mid-table looking up could come to fruition then this season.
I think as well, whether he achieves that or not, at the end of the season, if they do stay up, they do seriously have to look ahead to next season and not make the same mistakes.
Well, that's right, isn't it, Michael? I mean, for as good as this season is, and I don't want to downplay it in any way, shape or form, it has been nothing short of miraculous since the turn of the year. But next season, they can't afford to do the same again. Their luck will run out at some point, won't it?
Yeah, and I think one of the difficulties here is that while you can't overlook the results that Neil Warnock and Kevin Blackwell have achieved, they've got to get some stability in place. If Neil Warnock's not going to stay, maybe he needs to say to Kevin Blackwell, you're my man for the long term, and he has to stick with the manager for a while. I know that the situation with Steve Evans this kind of breakdown in some way or another. But he did only give Neil Redfearn a short period of time, and you can't have 4 months here, 5 months here.
Well, it's funny, in the press conference on Friday before Saturday's game, Neil Warnock possibly dropped the first hint that he could be thinking about staying by saying something along the lines of, if I'm still here in the summer. That is the first time in an open forum that he's actually said anything other than, I'm only here till the end of the season. So maybe he's thinking about it.
I think you've got to say with Steve Evans last summer's transfers did not succeed. It was a bit of a, well, I wouldn't say it was a disaster, but it was very much a mixed bag in terms of the transfers. Last thing we want is
summer before as well,
an uncertain situation in the May.
Yeah, the decision needs to be made before the end of the season, so that they can go into that.
Especially with the Euros. I mean, you think players go to the Euros, not going to be open to negotiations while they're out there. If we're going to be fishing in big ponds, if you're looking for big players, then you've got to get things sorted early, and we need to know who the manager's going to be.
Right, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. We'll wrap it up there this week. Thank you for listening at home. Remember to sign up for the match for free. Get the interactive Millers magazine in your inbox every Monday afternoon. Make sure you go out and pick up your copy of Friday's Rotherham Advertiser, an exclusive interview with Lloyd Doyley, as well as all the reaction from the Ipswich game. Once again, thank you for listening.